Ben felt immense pressure because even with superior attributes, they had only come from intermediate quality materials, which the small cavern had been lacking before. It was even inferior to the low quality. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly, commenting on the difficulty of this task. Was it too much to handle? Did they want to turn me into trash? You're too strict, I thought. At that moment, Yen Din was at the door shouting, looking for Ben. Her familiar voice sent shivers down my spine. Is the owner here? The woman with green hair beside me was a bit surprised. Is there really a pet gun shop here? Ben heard the urgency and quickly opened the door to welcome the guest. His face momentarily not looking happy. Why is it you, 108 Tay? Yen Din hurriedly ran up to Ben, saying, I'm Yen Din, not 108 Tay. Besides, the owner, Loi Kwang Thursday, isn't the same as before. Did you do something to him? Ben immediately felt uneasy, silently thinking, could there be a problem with using pets? But he quickly said, I didn't do anything. In his mind, he only thought of suspending all activities for a while. Is that right? Loi Kwang Thursday. A sudden recollection of painful memories from the Loi Din Van Hai incident caused him to lose control, startling Yen Din, who was surprised to see Loi Kwang Thursday trembling. Ben's analysis was spot on, admitting to nurturing the mouse Loi Kwang Thursday had raised, even the level 4 demon dragons, did not make him afraid. It was unexpected to see him trembling in front of Ben. Could he possess power beyond a 5-star rating? It's very likely he's over 6. The girl with green hair beside him whispered to herself, this owner looks very ordinary. Are you sure you're in the right place? I think Ben could be a hidden powerhouse. In Ben's mind, he pondered that this time the system didn't issue a task, temporarily seeming unrelated to using pets. Asking others what's going on, it's not about complaining that I charge a high fee. Yen Din, upon hearing this, immediately hesitated. How could the mouse Loi Kwang Thursday nurtured to be so strong be worth only 108 coins? The owner was testing her sincerity. Sensing this, she quickly confirmed transferring 1,000 coins to the pet shop. Sir, this is a token of my sincerity. Please accept it, she said. Looking at the failed transfer notification, Ben joked, what's this about? Seeing Ben's expression, Yen Din thought to herself that it wasn't about criticizing. But what about the additional 5,000 coins? Once again attempting to transfer money, she panicked upon discovering the recipient still refused. After 2 consecutive failed transfers, she turned to the girl with green hair for help, stating that this matter was crucial to her. The girl transferred the money for Yen Din, saying, I understand, it's really important to you, trying her best to help her out. Yen Din silently thought, this is a rare opportunity to get acquainted with the boss. Rarely would he release the hunting dog. So, why not try to catch the big fish? Taking this as a decisive gamble, she transferred 100,000 coins, but it was still rejected. Seeing the increasingly unhappy expression of the boss, she quickly transferred 1,000,000 coins. Mrs. Pu, sitting next to her, urged her to quickly confirm. That's when the system announced it was prohibited. However, under the guise of the store receiving money, beyond the set limit and unmodifiable pricing, it automatically initiated the 4th transfer attempt. Ben was furious, feeling like he was about to have a stroke. Yen Din immediately panicked, trembling with fear, upon seeing the rejected transfer notification. She hastily said, we are blind as bats. Leave now. In her heart, she secretly thought that if she tried to transfer again, she would be infuriated by the system. She quickly spoke up, saying there was no need for anything. Yen Din was touched by seeing how young she was and how determined she was. She quickly stated the purpose of this trip. In a few days, I will participate in the competition like your other pets, all of which are seriously injured. I have hope, and I hope Loi Kwang Thursday will nurture it for another 3 days. Ben, upon hearing it, quickly regained his spirit. In his heart, he secretly thought, it would be wonderful if Loi Kwang Thursday could come back this time. Training for the Tu Ko Lao would be more convenient then. Immediately, the system displayed a notification indicating a customer's need to raise a pet, showing a breeding fee of 10,000, even for pets below level 3. Ben liked the idea of making money through pet training, but for now, only pets of level 3 and below could be accepted. He quickly said, a 3-day pet nurturing fee of 10,000 coins. Internally, he thought, 10,000 isn't cheap, but if it can upgrade like Loi Kwang Thursday before, it's totally worth it. He promptly added, it's not a problem. In his mind, this was a conscientious store. He regretted missing out on many opportunities for development before. Ben eagerly looked at the information on the clock, his face filled with excitement. He asked, besides nurturing, do you need any other services? We also offer care services at our store. Additionally, we can conveniently treat some injuries. Tiandin heard this, and her eyes lit up. We can even treat injuries at the pet hospital. It's both far and expensive, she said. Turning to the owner, she added, I want to send for nurturing. Ben instructed her to summon the pets she wanted to send out. Immediately, she summoned 3 large gun-wielding pets, standing side by side in the small store. Tiandin smiled and said, these 3 are the ones. The system detected the customer's need to send pets for nurturing to prevent any damage to the store's reputation. It recommended signing the contract. Upgrade the nurturing as soon as possible, the owner urged. Ben didn't fully understand the impact on the store's reputation. Free initial nurturing is made from low-grade ling thatch, remaining weak and containing complex waste residues, he explained. Though it helps the pets grow, there's a high chance of causing mutation. Ben was angry and expressed his dissatisfaction. I know it's not good, he said. So let's upgrade it. Also, buy 3 more nurturing tanks to prevent risks. After selecting the upgrade and purchasing 3 more nurturing tanks, the system confirmed the successful purchase with a fee of 100 coins per hour. Level 2 mutations won't occur, the system assured, but it will consume energy points to maintain. If there are insufficient energy points, it will withdraw. Ben felt an instant heartache at the thought of spending so much money on upgrades every day and also needing to expend energy points. After stabilizing his mood, Ben said, 3 pets for nurturing for 3 days, with a fee of 21,600 coins. Please pay in advance. Tiandin promptly responded, quickly transferring the payment to Ben. Ben found the owner's behavior terrifying and strange. Check if the account has been transferred to 21,600 energy points. There are 20,019 points remaining. The system reminded to sign the activation signature to complete the pet nurturing order. The first pet nurturing task requested the customer's strategic nurturing mission to be doubled from the original, with a reward of basic primal energy, lasting for 3 days. Failure to complete the task deducts 10 accumulated points. May I ask if you accept? Ben looked at the current task. It required nurturing from level 1 to upper level, enhancing strategic power to level 7 to compare with nurturing a mouse, which was easier to upgrade from level 2 to level 7. Ben accepted the task and immediately used the opportunity to go to the free nurturing place. He saw a series of locations arranged by the system suitable for training. After a moment of consideration, he decided to choose the chaotic Lin realm to explore. As soon as he entered, he encountered several creatures like octopuses, pulling them into a dense red land with a strong smell of fresh blood. After a while, they arrived inside a ravine filled with heavy air and a strong smell. At this moment, suddenly, the mouse, Loi Kwang, squeaked behind him. Ahead was a huge block of bone marrow, aggressively advancing towards him and hitting the little dry well, causing it to explode and leading to death. Then the giant block roared loudly, directly attacking. Ben quickly shouted to revive the opponent, but the little dry well resurrected and immediately screamed out orders. At this moment, the giant arm directly lifted the bone club in its hand toward Ben's position. From that strike, black energy emanated, followed by a loud explosion. The bone club slammed straight into Ben's location. At this point, Loi Kwang Thursday's lightning touched the bone club directly, resisting the attack. The combat information displayed by the system showed the combat strategy of the giant dry well at level 5, with poor attributes and skills. Its broken limbs roared in agony. After seeing the information, Teben felt satisfied and remarked that apparently not all creatures in this nurturing place were high-level beasts. Before he could finish, another strike shattered the little dry well's bones again, leading to its demise. The resurrected dry well quickly dodged. Teben shouted loudly, urging Loi Kwang Thursday to use the next tactic. After hearing the instructions, the mouse, Loi Kwang, directly started accumulating thunderbolt force, interweaving lightning energies, quickly condensing them into a thunder sword. As Loi Kwang Thursday prepared to attack, Teben shouted loudly, launching a swarm of ants toward the lightning blade in his hand. A flash of lightning streaked through the air, aimed directly at the waist of the giant skeleton. It chopped low, causing the arm to be thrown off. Then, the giant nation advanced with a large barrier formed by the mouth. Loi Kwang Thursday couldn't dodge in time and was directly hit by the powerful sound waves, causing internal organs to rupture and resulting in death. A gem on the forehead of the giant suddenly emitted a red light, restructuring the injured part of its body, exerting a strong suction force. Fragments from all sides converged toward it, forming a larger arm than before. Teben immediately recognized that gem, which had the ability to heal injuries and reattach limbs, seeming like a treasure. He called upon 2 revived creatures, but their combat intentions were no longer under his control. Teben sighed deeply, directly pulling out a skill book from space and immediately using it. The system promptly reminded him that he had mastered the level 1 combat skill, Sat Y, of the giant nation. Seizing the opportunity, he launched energy from his hand towards Loi Kwang Thursday and the little dry well, enhancing their combat intentions instantly, making them fearless. Loi Kwang Thursday directly collided with lightning from above, while the little dry well attacked from below, forming a coordinated offensive strategy on both fronts. The giant, in a frenzy, suddenly condensed energy and slammed its supersized arm down to the ground with a powerful punch, directly smashing the earth. The little dry well and Loi Kwang Thursday died. Teben also perished. After using resurrection on the spot, Teben looked up and saw the disproportionate size of the giant's body, making it difficult to maintain balance. Once again, the giant swung its fist, and upon seeing this, Loi Kwang Thursday ran straight towards it, using the skill of summoning illusions to split into 2 lightning mice. The thunderbolt mice attacked the giant's bones. Unexpectedly, there were thunderbolt mice. Loi Kwang Thursday began to condense energy again and launched the lightning skill. Teben immediately commanded one mouse to sever its leg and another to shoot at its neck, wanting the gem to follow suit. With a bang, 2 lightning bolts directly struck the giant skeleton, splitting it into 3 parts. A red gem fell to the ground, and the system reminded Loi Kwang Thursday to complete the skill of destroying the illusion images, increasing the quantity to create 3 upgrades into multiple illusion images. Teben nodded in satisfaction, saying he could still split into multiple clones. After the pink gem fell to the ground, the little dry well, silently, picked it up and sat down, absorbing the energy quietly. Teben turned to the little dry well, puzzled, asking what it was doing. The divine system appeared again and answered that this was the unique soul-sucking power of the pet. It could invade the energy of its kind to upgrade. After absorbing all the energy of the gem, it suddenly pulled out a bone sword. The system announced that the strategic little dry well had reached level 1 and mastered the basic sword technique, defeating the giant's bone marrow. Teben was surprised to see that it had unexpectedly absorbed the ruby gem and learned the basic sword technique. Teben was astonished and exclaimed that it was truly beyond expectations. Suddenly, behind Teben, a spell appeared, transferring the thunderbolt mice into a medical exchange formation, causing thunderbolt mouse's fur to stand up. Teben also felt uneasy, sweating coldly, and saw this creature with a cape on its back and wings underneath. Covered by waves, Teben couldn't help but exclaim, "What is this?" He quickly used the appraisal to examine the information. A screen full of question marks appeared. Ben looked at the situation in front of him. The pet emitted an unusual aura. It was an advanced creature here. Perhaps it could still find a high-level treasure. Suddenly, the female skeleton extended her bone hand, and the green light converged towards her. In an instant, Ben was completely drained of vitality, leaving only his clothes. Everything was sucked into the living space. Ben thought to himself how powerful it was. Meeting it once caused him to lose his life force, so without hesitation, he chose to resurrect on the spot. Just as the female skeleton was about to leave, Ben resurrected. He was still very friendly, greeting her and asking if she was the boss of this place. Finally, he asked, "Do you have a brain?" Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the skeleton once again sucked him back into the space for resurrection. Ben thought it was really annoying, considering himself as a free lunch. It wasted so much precious time. Of course, he still chose random resurrection, but this time he was transported to a very quiet place. Looking down, he discovered that it was full of divine beasts. He immediately asked where this place was and if there were any more skeletons. Just now, it was that freeloader. At this moment, the group on the ground also noticed Ben, and even the female skeleton from earlier was incomparable to this horrifying moment. All attention was on Ben's position, creating a noisy commotion. Suddenly, in the void, a giant sharp claw appeared, grabbing Ben, who was captured below. There was also a large skeleton sitting on a throne like a king here, the leader of the ghost army. Slowly, he asked who Ben was, why he was here, and gave him 3 seconds to answer. Ben, feeling the strong pressure, tried to explain that he was just passing by. He wondered what this ghost king was up to and why he hadn't killed him yet. If he were killed instantly, it would be fine, but if he were captured, he wouldn't be able to resurrect, wasting time. If too much time was wasted, the mission wouldn't be completed, leading to failure. So, the Ghost King continued to interrogate, silently approaching Ben. "You are not ordinary. Answer me, and I won't ask again for the 3rd time." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the skeleton once again sucked him back into the space for resurrection. Ben thought it was really annoying, considering himself as a free lunch. It wasted so much precious time. Of course, he still chose random resurrection, but this time he was transported to a very quiet place. Looking down, he discovered that it was full of divine beasts. He immediately asked where this place was and if there were any more skeletons. Just now, it was that freeloader. At this moment, the group on the ground also noticed Ben, and even the female skeleton from earlier was incomparable to this horrifying moment. All attention was on Ben's position, creating a noisy commotion. Suddenly, in the void, a giant sharp claw appeared, grabbing Ben, who was captured below. There was also a large skeleton sitting on a throne like a king here, the leader of the ghost army. Slowly, he asked who Ben was, why he was here, and gave him 3 seconds to answer. Ben, feeling the strong pressure, tried to explain that he was just passing by. He wondered what this ghost king was up to and why he hadn't killed him yet. If he were killed instantly, it would be fine, but if he were captured, he wouldn't be able to resurrect, wasting time. If too much time was wasted, the mission wouldn't be completed, leading to failure. So, the Ghost King continued to interrogate, silently approaching Ben. "You are not ordinary. Answer me, and I won't ask again for the 3rd time." The Ghost King wanted to grasp Ben in his hands to see what would happen. Seeing this, Ben quickly seized the opportunity, advancing swiftly towards the gemstone ring that had been lying idle for a long time. In the blink of an eye, he placed his hand on the ruby. With a shout, he demanded, "Give it to me." In an instant, he retrieved the gemstone, and his personal space vanished immediately. So, Ben had obtained the coveted gemstone of the Ghost King. At this moment, the Ghost King was no longer calm, he was furious. Standing up, He could simultaneously display two of the most powerful techniques, teleportation and spatial manipulation. How could he not catch the traitor? Where had he disappeared to? Who was he? At this point, Taban chose to revive in a random location, feeling cheerful and thinking he would continue. Folding his arms and submitting to being bound, he appeared naive. Then, he swiftly drove away in a comfortable manner. Taban observed the situation around him, and after confirming safety, he hastily opened his personal space, summoning a long-awaited box. He directly took out the spoils of war, which were larger than what he had obtained from the dried-up little ghost earlier. The large ruby, 100 times bigger than before, was as big as the dried-up little ghost. Taban remarked, "I like how my divine favor can almost make this giant gemhead explode. How could it only gnaw on bones clumsily? Absorbing it in the next battle, it's your turn now." At this moment, somewhere in the chaos of the spirit realm, entities roamed, brandishing their fangs in attack towards Taban. After absorbing the ruby, the small bone tower's combat power had increased fourfold. It wielded a basic knife to directly deal with the aggressive mob. The system also indicated that progress had reached 46%. The remaining time was 1 day. The enemy flooded in like a torrent. Taban looked at the ghostly horde and the bustling crowd amusingly. There was so much experience to gain from encounters like these. Passing it on to the little ghost leader, Loi Kwang, who along with the little ghost, was now a formidable force, fearless. After more than half a day of fighting, the systems reminded both parties of their strategies, both having increased to level 6, approaching level 7. The current mission progress was 94%, with 14 minutes remaining. After a long period of fighting, they were all exhausted, panting. Taban looked at the remaining time, surprised at how much experience he had gained. Suddenly, the defeated leader began to produce small tortoises. Their eyes also began to emit red energy. The tortoises went crazy, absorbing the remnants of the battlefield. Looking over there, it was mobilizing to create an even larger monster than before. Indeed, stubborn. The main character stood firm on the ground, directly increasing the lethality of his summoned beast. At the right moment, he only needed to kill it to complete the mission. The giant creature, after restructuring, wielded an iron hook in its hand, aiming towards Taban. Taban remained calm, commanding the little ghost to use basic sword techniques to strike at the hook, emitting a loud sound. This former attack against the little ghost had the power of level 6, rendering it ineffective. The monster, frustrated, slammed its hand onto the ground. Suddenly countless strange hands grasped Taban and the summoned beast, binding them tightly. Without waiting for his reaction, they were restrained. At this moment, the system reminded, time remaining, 7 minutes, 94% completion. Pay attention to mission progress. Taban silently cursed the difficult binding technique. Loi Kwang Thursday's mouse attacked the center of the monster. The Loi mouse continuously emitted a flexible sound. The accumulated result of the lightning strike hit the central position of the former beast, causing a loud explosion. The former beast hit, its face looked astonished, looking at Taban, some strange hands protecting the central position at a critical moment, making this attack completely ineffective. The protagonist looked at the former beast, full of tortoises, quickly using an appraisal to check the information. Smashing into his eyes was a reminder full of question marks. In his heart, he secretly thought, indeed, the appraisal was inconclusive, but two things were certain: those arms were not afraid of lethal skills, and the central core was its weakness. At this moment, the system reminded again, only 3 minutes remaining. He quickly turned and shouted to Loi Kwang Thursday, quickly initiate the lightning strike. The powerful aura of lightning enveloped Loi Kwang Thursday's body surface as he immediately acted according to the crazy instructions. He began to gather the power of lightning, forming a lightning shield on his body instantly. Strange hands around the mouse were all electrically charged, forcing the system to display a notification: Loi Kwang Thursday, the leader, has realized the potential of the electric power. Lightning can be used to dispel evil and protect the body, maintaining effective damage and simultaneously inducing paralysis effects at close range. The paralysis effect is doubled compared to the demonic enemy. Loi Kwang Thursday continued crazily launching electric shocks in all directions, countless monsters being electrocuted to the point of being unable to control themselves. Even distant monsters were paralyzed by electricity. We made them release everything after Ben escaped from control and immediately ordered the little ghost, "Kill it now." The little ghost, with a fierce intent, its eyes glowing red, fearlessly confronted the monster. The monster's energy surged, a red energy gathering on its chest. The paralyzed monster couldn't use its strange hands for defense anymore. The little ghost ceased accumulating energy and directed it straight into the core of the dark red energy, shooting it directly into the system's core. Reminding both to use their beasts to complete the strategic attack, the level increased sevenfold. Ben observed the little ghost's enthusiastic behavior, saying, "The blood jade has just absorbed a small portion, and its strategy has already grown so much. If it absorbs everything later, won't that be terrifying?" The system then changed the screen to remind of the main task completion, receiving the map of the primordial force chaotic task. The secondary task was also completed, receiving 3 rewards stored in the storage space. All returned to the main shop. Ben used the appraisal technique on the little ghost, which had now reached level 2 in primary power and level 7 overall. Ben wondered if there was a miscalculation, and the system explained that this was an evaluation based on data since the beginning of the endless chaos until now. Ben immediately remembered the endless chaos of the infinite ghost lord, finding it interesting. Next was the appraisal of Loi Kwang Thursday, who was at level 3 in power combat 7. Overall, he had a solid grasp of many lightning elemental abilities. Ben praised, amazed that the lightning elemental beast could also comprehend spirit skills. If someone could call upon spirits in the arena, who knows what others would think? It was something to anticipate, as it could make a significant impact. After leaving the atomic level and entering the storage space, the protagonist took out the task reward from the system, the map of the primordial chaos. This was an ancient cultivation method that had been lost. Practitioners could use this map to become the custodian of the universe, comparing stars to the body's acupoints and muscles to cultivate compared to the Alliance's spiritual power. These were 2 completely different schools of thought. Ben couldn't help but feel excited. Doesn't this mean I can start cultivation and then gather energy in the original and making it of higher quality when using skills? Just by spinning it into a vortex, I can release energy from my body, thus affecting the outside world. This is the level 1 chaos map scene. Ben reasoned, considering the implications of condensing the vortex. In summary, it's about absorbing other potential forces, right? He asked himself. The system congratulated the successful host and entered the scene. The control panel for the character had opened, and Ben recalled his threefold strength. Unsure if it would be effective, he decided to try it out regardless. I'll use the 2 pills I was given, he thought, and indeed, the essence within his body had grown. The system then congratulated the host on successfully entering the Twinkin scene, and the control panel for the character was now accessible. Ben praised, amazed that the lightning elemental beast could also comprehend spirit skills. If someone could call upon spirits in the arena, who knows what others would think? It was something to anticipate, as it could make a significant impact. After leaving the atomic level and entering the storage space, the protagonist took out the task reward from the system, the map of the primordial chaos. This was an ancient cultivation method that had been lost. Practitioners could use this map to become the custodian of the universe, comparing stars to the body's acupoints and muscles to cultivate compared to the Alliance's spiritual power. These were 2 completely different schools of thought. Ben couldn't help but feel excited. Doesn't this mean I can start cultivation and then gather energy in the original and making it of higher quality when using skills? Just by spinning it into a vortex, I can release energy from my body, thus affecting the outside world. This is the level 1 chaos map scene. Ben reasoned, considering the implications of condensing the vortex. In summary, it's about absorbing other potential forces, right? He asked himself. The system congratulated the successful host and entered the scene. The control panel for the character had opened, and Ben recalled his threefold strength. Unsure if it would be effective, he decided to try it out regardless. I'll use the 2 pills I was given, he thought, and indeed, the essence within his body had grown. The system then congratulated the host on successfully entering the Twinkin scene, and the control panel for the character was now accessible. Ben praised, amazed that the lightning elemental beast could also comprehend spirit skills. If someone could call upon spirits in the arena, who knows what others would think? It was something to anticipate, as it could make a significant impact. After leaving the atomic level and entering the storage space, the protagonist took out the task reward from the system, the map of the primordial chaos. This was an ancient cultivation method that had been lost. Practitioners could use this map to become the custodian of the universe, comparing stars to the body's acupoints and muscles to cultivate compared to the Alliance's spiritual power. These were 2 completely different schools of thought. Ben couldn't help but feel excited. Doesn't this mean I can start cultivation and then gather energy in the original and making it of higher quality when using skills? Just by spinning it into a vortex, I can release energy from my body, thus affecting the outside world. This is the level 1 chaos map scene. Ben reasoned, considering the implications of condensing the vortex. In summary, it's about absorbing other potential forces, right? He asked himself. The system congratulated the successful host and entered the scene. The control panel for the character had opened, and Ben recalled his threefold strength. Unsure if it would be effective, he decided to try it out regardless. I'll use the 2 pills I was given, he thought, and indeed, the essence within his body had grown. The system then congratulated the host on successfully entering the Twinkin scene, and the control panel for the character was now accessible. Ben immediately sat down and began to mimic his sister's swirling of his own energy. He quickly discovered the special aspect here, the gravitational force when enough mass was present. By simply rotating and generating gravitational force, he could pull nearby energy to absorb it. Instead of having to run around, Ben grasped the key point and tried spinning in the opposite direction to see if there was any difference. Inside her room, Noyette suddenly felt the absorption of energy becoming more difficult and exhausting, her body covered in sweat. At this moment, Ben increased the difficulty level of the game, stretching out both arms to rotate them in opposite directions. Inside Lang Noyette's body, energy flowed like a river, but Ben, like a mad pump, forcibly absorbed it. She couldn't help but emit a strange sound, unable to understand why. Looking at the sparse energy nearby, she thought it was strange that it suddenly stopped condensing, unable to be absorbed anymore. Why did the planet's operations suddenly become chaotic? Perhaps a recent powerful individual passed by, but suddenly the energy in her body was forcibly drawn out, and Noyette couldn't control it anymore, falling to the ground with a loud cry, "Noyette! Noyette, what's wrong?" Mother called out worriedly. "Are you okay? I'm Noyette, what happened?" I was cultivating." Noyette began to calm down and analyze the energy of this creature. "It was definitely strange, but the direction seemed to lead clearly to my brother's useless room." At the same time, Ben, also in his room, breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, he had grasped the technique quite well. At the General Beast store, Ben was immersed in the chaos of cultivation in the universe, constantly spinning and absorbing energy from all directions. He couldn't help but marvel at the power of these stars, continuously being absorbed by him as long as he knew how to maintain distance to avoid being sucked in. Even when sleeping, he could still take advantage of cultivation. Suddenly, Ben sensed that there were 2 people in the store, one big and one small. The customers seemed to be named to Hien Din and to Yen. Din murmured something, embarrassedly hugging himself tightly, while Yen shouted loudly, "What do you mean, boss?" to Ben. Ben turned to them and said confidently, I'm talking about the power, the energy of you two is too weak. You need to make more effort in cultivation. Otherwise, how can you control stronger spiritual pets than me? Surprised, Ben secretly wondered. He said stronger spiritual pets. Could it be that in just these few short days, Loi Kwang Thursday has been promoted again? Out loud, he replied, wait a moment, I'll go get some spiritual pets for you, but inwardly, he hesitated. If the battle pet reaches level 7, and is enrolled in the academy with an average level of only 3 or 4, wouldn't that be odd? A moment later, Ben promptly brought out Loi Kwang Thursday and said, take it with you. The payment has already been made, so there won't be any additional fees. He hugged Loi Kwang Thursday tightly, pondering in his heart whether the fur of the lightning mouse had changed. Moreover, the mood of his pet seemed different. Ben had sent it away just a few days ago, and now seeing its master without any excitement, he couldn't help but wonder if it was reluctance to leave this place. Could a few days of staying here foster such feelings that even though the spiritual contract was established from the beginning, there was no emotional attachment? Canceling the contract wouldn't have any connection either. Looking at the condition of his pet, Ben couldn't help but be amazed. The wound seemed to have healed completely, and its fur appeared brighter than before. In his thoughts, Yan Din sighed again, this is a caring store, then turned back to thank the owner. Thank you for taking care of them so well, he said. Ben, with an impatient expression, ordered the guests to leave. Yan Din spoke up, or maybe introduce me to some food supplies? Ben thought he might as well go along with it this time. Fine, this time I won't do it. If she doesn't buy it, then it's her loss, so, buy this, he continued, 1,200 yuan each. 1,200 yuan each? Seriously? After leaving the pet store, Yan Din and Yan walked to an empty place to see how much Loi Kwang had improved after being nurtured. Yan Din remarked that there was still some time before the match and wanted to warm up a bit. He cheerfully summoned a powerful beast, a high-level bloodline sperm. This was an excellent opportunity to observe the residual image of the lightning mouse. At this moment, his earthly manifestation sensed danger and quickly used a skill aimed straight at Loi Kwang Thursday. In an instant, there was a loud noise as the earthly manifestation's head from below the ground squeezed Loi Kwang Thursday tightly in its grasp. At the same time, Ziqiu countered towards the bottom, causing a loud noise to echo from the earthly manifestation's head as it bubbled up from below the ground, squeezing Loi Kwang Thursday tightly in its grasp. In its hand, Loi Kwang Thursday suddenly appeared out of nowhere, stomping on the earthly manifestation's face with 3 stones. They disappeared immediately. Loi Kwang Thursday immediately emitted a powerful aura, a level 7 chi field, while the earthly manifestation was at level 5. Before him was a terrifying thunderbolt mouse, which immediately began trembling with fear, wanting to flee. Looking at this, Ben couldn't help but feel terrified. Wasn't it just about not being able to catch a real mouse? How could it sense the immense power of Loi Kwang Thursday, which was vastly different from its own? Ben knew he couldn't protect his owner. The layers of rock walls began to surround them, and in a moment, a small enclosed circle formed, leaving them bewildered. Quickly, he reassured his pet that they were safe, ready to release it. Yan Din, even though he saw it with his own eyes, found it hard to believe that the earthly manifestation, with its high-level bloodline and inhibitory properties, could be threatened like this by a low-level bloodline Loi Kwang Thursday. Our Loi Kwang Thursday is too strong, it's too weird. The time has come. The MC enthusiastically opened the annual live voting system of the Fuang Sun Academy, which has now ended. The main match officially begins, with the new dark horse of the year, Yan Din, appearing on the left side, and on the right side of the stage stands a seasoned contestant from last year's top 10, the insightful Lai Ku. The program host is still explaining the rules of the contest. Lai Ku has already taken action by summoning his water elemental beast. People in the stands begin to lively discuss. He brazenly assumes the role of challenger, unafraid of his opponent's aim. Exactly How could someone from the top 10 of last year make such a basic mistake? Tu Yan silently evaluates. Observing the water elemental beast's use of water attribute, a mid-level bloodline, he predicts lurking and stealth attacks. When the opportunity arises, Tiandin also summons his flame phoenix to suppress and see who is stronger. The MC shouts out, "This is my first time choosing a contestant. I select Fuang, a high-level bloodline against the water elemental beast's mid-level bloodline. Honestly, this is a strong opponent. Lai Ku, how will you respond?" He finishes speaking as Lai Ku raises his arm high, conceding defeat. The MC couldn't help but exclaim, "Did I hear that right? Lai Ku, you're surrendering without even fighting?" The response is correct. "I concede this round," he says. Tian Din, facing the unexpected victory, is somewhat overwhelmed. In his heart, he wonders what Lai Ku is thinking. At this moment, cracks in space behind Lai Ku suddenly open. He smirks and says, "Sometimes, to ensure the catch, you need to bait the hook. The bait is indispensable." With these final words from within the crack in space, spider webs spread throughout the entire arena. After summoning his pet, Lai Ku slowly says, "Fuang, although not the strongest in your hands, you are undoubtedly the most difficult to handle." The mouse Loi Kuang aimed at Su and White Tiger, both specialized in ground combat. "I just need to send out beasts with high combat power to easily deal with them." However, Fuang's expertise lies in aerial attacks, making it difficult to defeat even a level 5 beast, so it must be prioritized for resolution. "Sorry, my fellow student, Yan Din. I investigated your entire file while Lai Ku was still immersed in his own cunning plans. Then a fire ignited from the shared thread flew towards his position. Lai Ku initially thought this tactic was powerless, but before he could finish his words, the fire began to burn, causing him to cry out in agony. Seeing the effective attack, Tiandin immediately asked if he had finished speaking. This made him very angry, so he used the beast's power to pierce through. Tiandin quickly ordered Fuang to retreat, then hastily gathered enhanced energy to strengthen Fuang's power. Using this tactic successfully, Fuang quickly lifted off the ground, avoiding the obvious attacks of the earth-based creatures while dodging the earthy traps. Fuang quickly gathered energy and unleashed two skills, Chain Lightning and Slow Burn, transforming into the shape of a fiery bird and a swift arrow, flying towards Lai Ku's seat. He remained calm, commanding the earth-based beasts to use protective skills. A giant stone shield immediately formed to shield the underground beast. Fuang's two skills were easily thwarted, causing no harm to the earth beast as the fire dissipated. Tiandin looked at the heavy wall, feeling the presence of the thick wall. Although the pet had electrical resistance, this wall was too tough. Lai Ku couldn't help but feel pleased, realizing the difference now. Fuang, only at level 3, dared to confront a level 4 fully grown beast with electrical powers, using electric attacks and trapping nets to ensnare the battlefield. Slowly, he began to gather them, aiming to crush the lower-level beasts, then to Hian Din and Fuang. At this moment, their actions were also limited. She shouted that the net was closing in. Fuang tried to tear the net apart, and Tian Din saw Fuang gradually retreating as the net tightened. Fuang wanted to destroy the net, even though it was attacking relentlessly, but it continued to tighten around her. In the end, Tian Din was unable to move, but she still struggled, desperately trying to escape the control of the cage. But the sharp net made it hurt more every time it struggled, causing additional injuries. Seeing Fuang injured, Din felt heartbroken and shouted, "Stop struggling." Lai Ku commented, "It's all part of my calculations. Surrender, and you can end the suffering, even though it's against your will." She couldn't bear to see Fuang injured when she was ready to concede. Suddenly, a powerful light burst forth from Fuang's mouth, condensed energy, and shot towards the heavy earth wall like a piece of paper cut by a beam of light. Even the earth beasts lost their fighting ability. The judges in the audience couldn't help but exclaim, "Is this the ultimate discharge line? This is the advanced level 8 skill." The white-haired man spoke up. Although Huang belonged to a high-level bloodline, her thunderous abilities ranked lower in the group of pets with high-level attributes, and her inheritance skills lacked the ultimate discharge line. Regardless, this Huang was truly talented, and most importantly, she hadn't matured yet. Meanwhile, the deputy headmaster chuckled and said, "Don't forget, this little girl's lightning mouse has also been through the discharge line." After saying this, the white-haired man fell into deep thought. This year, another genius has appeared. If she joins the pioneering team, she will be a giant pillar for the academy to rely on. The red-haired girl beside him grabbed his neck and immediately said coldly, "The girl's name is Tu Yen Din. She belongs to me now. Who dares to snatch her away?" "Ha ha ha, I'm just kidding. I can't believe another genius like this has appeared this year. If she can join the pioneering team, she will achieve great glory for the academy. She will be a giant tree to rely on."